Hello everyone, welcome to the lecture series on VLSI and microelectronics. It is a subject in 7th semester BTech ECE. The course code is EC702. I am Paulo Sridhar, Assistant Professor, Department of ECE, Guru Nanak Institute of Technology. So let us start lecture number 3 of this lecture series. Now, our subject VLSI and microelectronics, and now we are in lecture number 3. So the total number of lectures in this lecture series will be 45 and the total contact hours will be 4. That is, there will be 3 lectures and 1 tutorial. Now in this lecture and in this slide, we will see which course outcome will be fulfilled after the completion of this particular lecture number 3 of this lecture series in VLSI and microelectronics subject. Now we are in module number 1, Introduction to IC. In module number 1, we will be studying about integrated circuits, advantages, disadvantages, then limitations. Next is scale of integration like SSI, MSI, LSI, VLSI and ULSI. Next is Moore's law, then scaling of the MOSFET. In scaling of the MOSFET, we will study about constant field scaling and constant voltage scaling. Next comes the short channel effect. Next is the VLSI design flow. In the VLSI design flow, we will read about the Y chart. Next is IC classification. In IC classification, we will study about the standard ASIC and also the standard IC and PAL, PLA and the FPGA architectures. So this was in short the things that are we going to study in module number 1. Now let us come to the course outcomes. The course outcomes are very important because this course outcomes will be fulfilled after the completion of this particular course of VLSI and microelectronics. Now let us see the course outcomes. So the first course outcome is able to describe scale of the integration, that is SSI, MSI, LSI, VLSI, Moore's law, scaling, short channel effect, VLSI design flow and architecture, and also contact gate level circuit with PLA and the PLA concept. The second one is able to analyze CMOS inverter voltage transfer characteristics with the parameters VIL, VIH, VOL, VOH, VTH, and all this based on the knowledge of digital circuit design and methodologies like CMOS, pass transistors, TG, that is the transmission gate, DCVSL, then dynamic logic, NODA, and able to construct schematic of combinational sequential circuit, SRAM, DRAM cell using the MOSFET. The next, that is the third course outcome is based on the fundamental concept of the MOSFET characteristics and model, able to calculate value of the resistance of the current source MOS diode, current mirror circuit, then voltage of references such as the voltage divider, threshold voltage and band gap, and the emulate resistance of the switch capacitor circuit, gain of the switch capacitor, and also the first order switch capacitor filter. The fourth number course outcome is with the help of the MOS transistor model, able to calculate the value of the parameters to design CMOS differential amplifier and two-stage op-amp. The fifth is able to describe fabrication steps of the IC and construct stick diagram and layout of the CMOS inverter and basic gates based on lambda and also the micron design rules. Sixth is able to calculate gate array, dynamic power, short circuit power and leakage power and total power consumption across a CMOS inverter circuit based on the derived expression of delay and power. So these were in short the course outcomes. So in this course, VLSI and microelectronics having the course code of EC702, It is having 6 number of course objectives. And now as we are in module number 1, so this course objective number 1, that is able to describe scale of the integration SSI, MSI, LSI, VLSI, then Moore's law, scaling, short channel effect, VLSI design flow and architecture, and gate level circuit using the PAL and PLA concept. This one is the course outcome that will be fulfilled in this lecture, and that's why this course outcome is given in red color. So going to the next slide, we are going to have the lecture plan of this particular lecture number 3, where the course name is VLSI and Microelectronics, and the paper code of this VLSI and Microelectronics is EC702. So here we are in module number 1, that is Introduction to ICs, and today we are going to study about the scaling of the MOSFET, then the types of the scaling, use of the scaling, why we are scaling down the technologies. Next is constant field scaling. In the constant field scaling, we will study about the different parameters that are being scaled and also the rate of the scaling. Next is the constant voltage scaling. In the constant voltage scaling, we will study about all the parameters that are being scaled in case of the constant voltage scaling, then which one remains constant and which parameters are varied. And next is why we are using the constant voltage scaling. So this were in short the lecture plan of this particular lecture number 3. So before starting lecture number 3, let us have a quick recap of the previous lecture. So in the lecture number 1, we have seen the detailed analysis of the syllabus and also which module, that is after which completion of which module the particular course outcome is fulfilled, and also all the course outcome of this particular course VLSI and Microelectronics. Next is in the lecture number 2, we have started module number 1, that is Introduction to ICs. In the case of the ICs, we have seen what are the ICs, then what are the advantages of the ICs, that is the integrated circuit, and also the disadvantages of the integrated circuits, then limitations of the integrated circuits. Next is why we are studying the VLSI subject. This VLSI subject has got huge impact on the electronics field, in the field of telecommunication, in the field of communication, in the field everywhere. All the mobile phones, all the embedded systems, all these things are dependent on the VLSI technology. And we have studied why we are studying the VLSI and the microelectronics subject. Next is we have come to the scale of integration, that is the SSI, MSI, LSI and VLSI. That is the chip number goes, that is the number of transistors going on increasing day by day depending on the Moore's law. And the very important law in VLSI in the field of electronics is Moore's law, because it determines that how many number of transistors are fabricated in a single chip. And we can see that in Moore's law that the number of transistor, there is a threefold increase in the number of transistor every 2 years. So we can see the huge impact of the Moore's law in the VLSI subject. Next is we have studied about all the VLSI design concepts like the Y chart. The Y chart is the main, you can say the base of VLSI design, where we start with the Y chart. Then comes the concept of modularity, then regularity. All these things we have studied in the lecture number 2. So let us start lecture number 3. So we are going to start MOSFET scaling. Now before starting, let us see. The ever-increasing demand of the features of the electronic appliances has forced to put more and more transistors in a small IC chip. The number of devices doubles almost in 18 months as per the famous Moore's law. The integration of more devices into a small area has essentially pushed the VLSI process technology to be advanced from micron to submicron, then submicron to deep micron. The deep micron is also known as DSM technology and to nanometer regime. As the technology advances, the area occupied by the transistors is just halved per technology node. According to ITRS roadmap, the shrink factor is almost 0.7 per technology node. When a square is halved, its dimensions are shrink by 1 by root over of 2, that is by 0.707. Hence, there is a reduction of the MOSFET dimensions. So let us start the MOSFET scaling. The design of high density chips in the MOS VLSI, that is the very large scale integration technology, requires the packing density of the MOSFET used in the circuits is as high as possible. So this is high as possible, consequently results in the size, that is the reduction of the size and also in the dimension of the MOSFET. This reduction of the size and also in the dimensions of the MOSFET is known as scaling. So scaling is very important in the case of the VLSI technology, because year after year the devices are being scaled down and down. The reduction of the size, that is the dimensions of the MOSFET, is the scaling. Now it is expected that the operational characteristics of the MOS transistor will change with the reduction of its dimensions. Also, some physical limitations eventually restrict the extent of scaling that is practically achievable. Now, the scaling of the MOS devices is what? It is just the schematic reduction of the overall dimensions of the device, preserving the geometrical ratios found in the larger devices. Now, the proportional scaling of the devices in a circuit would certainly result in the reduction of the total silicon area occupied by the circuit, thereby increasing the overall functional density of the chip. To achieve this description, already I had told you, we are introducing a constant scaling factor. This one is a scaling factor, and we are representing the scaling factor by capital of S. And the constant scaling factor is S is always greater than 1. This is very important, that the scaling factor is a constant and we are introducing a constant scaling factor greater than 1. So all the horizontal and the vertical dimensions of the large size transistor are then divided by this scaling factor to obtain the scaled device. Now the extent of the scaling that is achieved or is determined by the fabrication technology, and more specifically by the minimum feature size. Now this is very important, that is minimum feature size. Now I hope that scaling is somewhat clear to all of you. I hope that scaling is clear to all of you. Scaling means we are reducing the dimensions of the large transistors, and it is reduced by constant scaling factor which is greater than 1. Now let us move to the next slide. Now this slide shows the recent history of the reducing feature sizes for the typical CMOS gate array process. Here this is all the years are given, and this is the feature size which is represented in micrometers. Now it is seen that the new generation of the manufacturing technology like this 2010, 12, all these are the new generations, replaces the previous one about every 2 or 3 years, and the downscaling factor S of the minimum feature size from one generation to the next is about 1.2 to 1.5. So you can see that this is the year. Suppose the feature size started from 2.5 micrometer in 1985. So it goes on decreasing. In 1987, it is 1.7. In 1989, it is 1.2. 91, it is 1.0. 93, it is 0.8. 95, it is 0.5. 97, 0.35. So it goes on decreasing year by year in a gap of 2 years or 3 years like this. 1999, it is 0.25. 2001, it is 0.18. 2003, it is 0.13, or you can say it is 130 nanometer also. 2006, it is 0.90, that is 90 nanometer. 2008, it is 0.65 micrometer, that is 65 nanometer. 2010, it is 0.45 micrometer, that is 45 nanometer. And in 2012, it is 0.32 micrometer, that is 32 nanometer. So that we can consider there is a proportional scaling of all the 3 dimensions of the same by the same scaling factor S. Now, I hope that this recent history of reducing feature sizes is clear to all of you. Now, let us move to the next slide. Here in this figure, we consider that the proportional scaling of all the 3 dimensions are done by the same scaling factor S. And this figure shows the reduction of key dimensions of the typical MOSFET together with the corresponding increase of the doping densities. All these doping densities ND is given. The new doping densities are given by ND dash like this. This is all the dash. TOX is the thickness of the oxide. All these are given. This is the gate, this is source, this is the drain. This is gate, source, and the drain. This is the width. Again, it is the new one. That is a scaled one. Now, you can see the primary quantities in this figure indicate that the scale dimensions and the doping densities. It is easy to recognize that the scaling of all the dimensions by a factor of S greater than 1 leads to a reduction of the area occupied by the transistor by a factor of S square. To better understand the effects of the scaling upon the current voltage characteristics of the MOSFET, we will be seeing that there are 2 different scaling options. That is, the different types of scalings are there. We will see in the later slides. I hope that this typical scaling of the MOSFET is clear to all of you. Now let us move to the next slide. So these are the types of the scaling technique. So scaling can be of 2 types. That is the constant field scaling. The constant field scaling is also known as the full scaling. And second one is the constant voltage scaling. So basically there are 2 techniques, or there are 2 scaling techniques. That is the constant field scaling, that is the full scaling, and also the constant voltage scaling. Now let us move to the next slide. Now both the scaling techniques have significant effects on the MOS device characteristics. Depending on the target application, suitable techniques are used. That is the suitable scaling techniques, such as which one to use. The use of the current voltage or the current field techniques are dependent on the target application. That is, it is dependent solely on the target application, that is the functions. Next is combination of both scaling are used to migrate from one technology to a newer technology node. That is, suppose we are moving from one technology to a new technology. So the combination of both the scaling, that is the constant field scaling and constant voltage scaling, will be used in that cases. So I hope this slide is clear to all of you. Now we have come to constant field scaling. So here is the first point. The dimensions of the MOS are terminal voltage are scaled down by the factor of S. That is, in here, the scaling option attempts to preserve the magnitude of the electric fields in the MOSFET. That is, electric field remains constant, while the dimensions are scaled by a factor of S. To achieve this goal, all the potential must be scaled down proportionally by the same scaling factor. So in the constant field scaling, the dimension of the MOSFET and the terminal voltages are scaled with the same scale factor S, so that the electric field remains constant. So this is very important, that the electric field remains constant. Now, this is table. This shows the scaling factors of all the significant dimensions, potentials, and the doping densities of the MOS transistors. This is the table. Here all the important parameters are there, like the channel length, channel width, then gate oxide thickness, then junction depth, power supply voltage, threshold voltage, and the doping concentration. Now you can see that the Poisson equation describing the relationship between the charge densities and the electric field dictates that the charge densities must be increased by a factor of S. These are the charge densities that are increased by a factor of S in order to maintain the field condition. So you can see that the channel length, then the channel width, gate oxide, then junction depth, power supply, then threshold voltage, all these are being scaled down. But this doping concentration, Na and Nd, they are increased by a factor of S. Why they are increased? To maintain the field conditions in case of the Poisson's equation. So before scaling, the channel length was L, and after scaling it has become L dash, that is L by S. Next is channel width. The channel width before scaling, the value was W, but after scaling the value changes to W dash, that is W by S. Next is gate oxide thickness, it is TOX. Thickness is always represented by small t, and as it is gate oxide, it is OX, that is subscript of OX. T subscript of OS is, after scaling, it is T dash of OX is equal to TOX by S. Now you can see all this junction depth, power supply voltage, and the threshold voltage, all these are being scaled down, and the new quantities are all given in dash. This XJ dash, then VDD dash, then VT dash, all this are scaled down and divided by S. But here the doping concentration Na and Nd, that is Na dash and Nd dash, is being increased by a factor of S. So this is the least where the scaling factors are being given. So I hope this slide is clear to all of you. Now let us go to the next slide. Now the continuation of the constant field scaling or the full scaling is, we know that the full scaling reduces both the drain current and the drain to source voltage by a factor of S. So the power dissipation of the transistor will be reduced by a factor of S square. This significant need or reduction of the power dissipation is one of the very important features or the attractive feature of the full scaling. We find that the power density per unit area remaining virtually unchanged for the scale devices. Finally, we consider the gate oxide capacitances defined as C of G will be equal to W into L into C of OX. We know that the charging and the discharging of the capacitances plays a very important role in the transient operation of the MOSFET. Since the gate oxide capacitance Cg is scaled down by a factor of S, we can predict that the transient characteristics, that is the charge up and the charge down times of the scale device, will improve accordingly. In addition, The proportional reduction of all the dimensions on chip will lead to a reduction of various parasitic capacitances and resistances as well, contributing to the overall performance improvement. Now, the things I've said, all these are being summarized and changes in the key device characteristics in this table as a result of the full or the constant field scaling. We can see that this gate oxide capacitance before scaling was C of OX. So C dash OX is equal to S into COX. Already you know that, this one. Next is drain current, I of D. ID dash changes to ID by of S. Next is power dissipation. P is equal to P dash is equal to P by S square. Power density P by area will be equal to P dash by area dash is equal to P by area. Now this reduction of power dissipation, already I told that it is a very important or attractive property of this constant field scaling or the full scaling. So I hope that constant field scaling is clear to all of you. Now let us go to the next type of scaling technique, that is the constant voltage scaling. So already we are having the constant field scaling. So why do we need the constant voltage scaling? It is a very important question that should be coming to all of our minds. So let us see why we need the constant voltage scaling. While the full scaling strategy dictates that the power supply voltage and all the terminal voltages must be scaled down proportionally with the device diameters or the dimensions, the scaling of the voltages may not be very practical in many cases. In particular, the peripheral and the interface circuitry may require certain voltage levels for all input and output voltages, which in turn would necessitate multiple power supply voltages and complicated level shift arrangements. For this reason, constant voltage scaling is usually preferred over the full scaling. So this is the words I have told are very important, because that's why we are using the constant voltage scaling, like in the peripheral and the interface circuitry, where we need certain amount of voltage levels for the input and the output voltages. So this becomes complicated when we are using the full scaling. For these reasons, we require the constant voltage scaling. So I hope this why we require the constant voltage scaling is clear to all of you. Now, as we have seen why we require the constant voltage scaling and why we prefer the constant voltage scaling over the full scaling or the constant field scaling, now let us move to the constant voltage scaling and see the characteristics or main properties of the constant voltage scaling. Here, in constant voltage scaling, all the dimensions of the MOSFET are reduced by a factor of S as it was in full scaling. The power supply voltage and the terminal voltage remain unchanged. The doping concentrations must be increased by a factor of S square in order to preserve the charge field relations. Now, this is the table. It shows the constant voltage scaling of the key dimensions like the voltage, then the densities under the scaling effect. So you can see the channel length, channel width, gate oxide thickness, then junction depth, power supply voltage, all these are being changed. Threshold voltage, doping constant, all these are changed, and after scaling it has been changed. You can see these things. Now under constant voltage scaling, the changes in device parameters are significantly different compared to those in full scaling. The gate oxide capacitance, this gate oxide capacitance is having increased by a factor of S, which means that the transconductance parameter is also increased by a factor of S. So you can see this ID will be equal to ID into S. Since the terminal voltages remain unchanged, the linear mode drain current of the scale MOSFET will be ID dash is equal to ID into S. Also, the saturation mode drain current will be increased by a factor of S after constant voltage scaling. This means that the drain current density, current per unit area, is increased by a factor of S cube, which may cause serious reliability problems for the MOS transistors. So, now let us next consider the power dissipations. Since the drain current is increased by a factor of S, while the drain to source remains unchanged, the power dissipation of the MOSFET increased by a factor of S. Finally, the power density, that is the power dissipation per unit area, is found to increase by a factor of S cube. After this, that is, it will be S cube. Now it will be S cube. So it is, this power density is being increased by a factor of S cube. So these are the factors or the effects of the constant field scaling, that is the gate oxide capacitance is increased by S into S, current in, or the drain current ID is increased, power dissipation is increased, then power density, that is P dash by area dash, is increased by SS cube. So I hope this slide is clear to all of you. Now let us move to the next slide. Current voltage or the constant voltage scaling may be preferred over full scaling in many practical areas. That is a summary. So how does this is true, or this statement is true? Let us see. It may be recognized, however, that the current voltage scaling increases the drain current density and the power density by a factor of SS cube. This large increase in the current and power densities may eventually cause serious reliability problems for the scale transistors, such as the electromigration, hot carrier degradation, oxide breakdown, and the electrical overstress. These are the disadvantages of the current voltage scaling. As the device dimensions are systematically reduced through full scaling or the current voltage scaling, various physical limitations become increasingly more prominent and ultimately restrain the amount of the feasible scaling in some device dimensions. Consequently, scaling may be carried out on certain subset of the MOSFET dimensions in many practical cases. Also, the simple gradual channel approximation, or the GCA, used for the derivation of the current voltage relationships, does not accurately reflect the effects of the scaling in small size transistors. The current equations have to be modified accordingly. So in the next lectures, we will be discussing about the short channel or the small geometry effects. Now let us see the advantages of the MOSFET scaling. The scaling of the MOSFET has many advantages and disadvantages. Some of the advantages are more transistors can be integrated per chip, means more capability. Next is improvement in speed due to the decrease in the channel length L, and hence due to the increase in the transit times. Next is increase in the current, that is hence improved parasitic capacitance charging time. Next is improved throughput of the chip. These were the advantages. Next, we are moving to the disadvantages. These are the disadvantages. First one is the short channel effects, complex process technology, parasitic effects that dominate over the transistor effects. Next are the limitations of the MOSFET scaling. The limitations are lithography, quantum effects, and the oxide tunneling. So this was in short the different scalings and why we require scaling, what are the limitations of the scaling. So thank you all of you for listening to this lecture and hope to meet you soon. Thank you all.